Welcome into another Untitled interview edition of the Untitled Film Project Podcast. Today we are joined by the director of the new movie, Anniversary, hitting theaters October 29th, Jan Komasa. Jan, thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate your time.
Hi, Jeremy. Hi, everybody. Nice to be here.
Anniversary is an incredibly entertaining look at family dynamics at its root, right? Surrounding politics, it's all that stuff, obviously, but it's very relatable to a degree. And I'm always interested in the beginning of ideas. So, how did this turn from, an idea, brainstorm, whatever it may be, to a theatrical feature?
Yeah, well, it all started with the idea of I'm always as a director, I'm always trying to find ways to find new engines for the movie. I've made 7 films. I see how I work, and I work best when I think about a film kind of like an engineer. I have to build an engine and then structure the whole thing around this engine. So for me, the engine for Anniversary was I didn't know it's gonna be anniversary. I always just wanted to make a film, kind of like a theater play in which my father is an actor. So in theater, I saw people watching let's say, the first act, and they leaving the room for like 15 minutes. They come back, and then there's the same living room they saw in the first act, almost the same cast. And then it's like 1 year later, and you have no context what happened. And somebody comes in, and the daughter of them or the mother says, "Oh, it's been 3 months since dad is gone." And you have to like you don't know what happened to him. You have to kind of, imagine. And so I loved it, and I saw that in films you don't have that too much. People in films, producers, everybody, like they are like, what happened? You have to explain it. You have to say. So that was one. And two, I've never seen a film. Boyhood would be one of the films, probably, but it's very rare to have this as a rule for the whole film, that we just don't know what happened, and you have to sing your own song between anniversaries. So that was one. Two, I was also thinking about my own family when I saw us different photos of us at different, Christmas parties, and I saw those little bits of change in our faces and the way how we look like, and then someone was missing from 1 year to the second, and the partners were gone. Somebody got sick, diagnosed with some illness, and you could feel that the whole family changes and the sadness in our eyes and stuff. So you don't feel it when you're in the moment, but then you watch it, have the whole sequence of events, and it becomes a movie, almost like experience. So that was the second kind of idea, and the third came when we all entered this very polarized climate in which things shifted from one week to another in a very unexpected way, and the reality that we were kind of used to became so different that we couldn't even find a code. So all combined, Anniversary was born out of this idea, and then I wrote it, and then Nick Wexler, who's a legendary producer, he discovered Darren Aronofsky, Requiem for a Dream, and he did The Road with Viggo, and so many other great films. Under the Skin, Jonathan Glazer's. He he's rock and roll, so he was rock and roll enough to kind of risk and make and invest in a film um, like this. And then we found Lori Gambino, who is a scriptwriter, and she did a beautiful job of making it my initial idea intricate. And she said she had this idea of setting it in Washington, D.C. instead of any other place in the US. And that's how we got the script that was immediately immediately caught the attention of Diane Lane. Through friends and agents, she got the script, and after Diane said yes, every other actor wanted to work on a film with her.
That was actually my next question. I mean, you have Diane Lane, like you mentioned, Kyle Chandler, Zoe Deutsch. McKenna Grace. You had some pretty impressive talent to help tell this story. Was there a moment where you just sat back on set, of course, and you were just like, wow, this is my vision coming true, or look what they just did with this? Was there any kind of maybe touchstone moment like that?
Well, maybe it's my rule every morning before the set to appreciate what I'm actually doing. Because as a director, when you think about it, mm, the director's job is to go to people, tell them your story, and convince them to give you millions of dollars for something that will never, ever exist. It will, the film, even in a room, you watched it with 300 other people, and everybody watched a different thing. And so they leave the room, they discuss. Some people will forget about the film the next day, but for some it will stay and it will even change the way they think. So what was it? What am I doing as like what really what's the end product of this? So somewhere between my like the first and the second, maybe the third film, I decided to just be, appreciative of and really appreciate the fact that I'm doing something that will never exist. It will only exist kind of like a dream or a memory in your brain. And we're doing this weird thing for the audience, for people to make them to steer the discussion and make them uh, you know, engaged emotionally, intellectually, and change something about the way we think or at least try. And so I was thanking the cosmos every day before set for giving me this chance. So yeah, and then we were shooting with my Polish DP Piotr Sobocinski, with whom I did Corpus Christi. I told Piotr so many times, like, look, man, we're in Dublin. We're shooting with so many great people. Like, would you change it for anything else?
What was it like navigating the completion of this thing during the SAG-AFTRA strike? I know we've seen that a lot on obviously the products that are coming out now, right? Projects that are hitting theaters now and streaming services and all that. It's a common theme, but I've got you here. I need to ask you, what was it like powering through the frustration or finding those solutions, or what was that like?
So look, it was now when you're in the moment, you're like an athlete. You can't let those moments of doubt invade you because that's the end. We
Well
have to
said.
be on all the time. So I tried not to think about it too much, but I can tell you that, for example, we were precisely spot on in the at the very beginning of it, because we were meant to start shooting on, I remember, on Monday, and 4 days earlier, the strike hit, actor strike. And and suddenly my actors, the whole cast, we were on one WhatsApp group. We were communicating like crazy up until that moment. And because of the regulations, they couldn't talk to me, because every conversation with them,
Of course,
with the director, is a type of work,
of course.
even if it's friendly. So I've lost contact with the whole with all of them. And I totally understood it, by the way. I wasn't like, it has to be like this. But for 4 days just before the shooting, we didn't know if we're gonna shoot it. So I called my Polish agent in Poland, and I told her, look, you know, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but if there's any commercial gig in Poland to do for me as a director, don't say no, because it might happen that I might be home by Tuesday or Wednesday. Uh, they said, all right. So I remember it was Monday. They said, we got the waiver from SAG. Is there anything we can shoot today? Because with our schedule went to the sewer, we had to come up with what we want to shoot the next day. So I would say the energy of the mayhem is totally in the film. And also the actors felt that the strike might take longer than anybody expected, and their other jobs were suspended or canceled or whatever, and they felt, well, if this is the only film we're gonna film this year, we're gonna pour everything we got into it. So that's why I would say the energy of anniversary is unlike anything I've ever experienced.
And just another thing to be thankful for, I assume, right? Be able to complete this and get it done. What just last thing real quick. What's it like when you premiere it at a film festival or whatever the case, it's done and it's out of your hands and you've done it, right? With all that you went through, right? Obviously the idea generation to putting it on screen to finding funding to the SAG-AFTRA strike. What is that like to see it come out for people to enjoy it?
Well, over the years, I at the beginning, many years ago, I would be very anxious to see my film. I would be like biting my nails and all this. Today it's different. Today it's like I'm doing it for people. I'm doing it for the audience, to surprise them, to give them a taste they haven't tasted yet. So I'm like observing reactions, and I saw people telling me, "Oh, Jesus, it was a gut punch. I don't know what to make of it now. I can't talk about it. I have to." And then I was like, "All right, so it seems like the energy of anniversary stays with you longer." And many people came back to me a day or 2 or 3 days later saying, "I still think about the film. It shook me." So the energy of anniversary is also very different from anything I've ever done, which is, it's like, now I know it for the audience, it's like a kind of like, for many, not for everybody obviously, but for many, it feels like a punch in the face, a little punch in the gut, and they need time to collect their thoughts, and then they start to talk about it. We had one screening at Warsaw Film Festival, and it was an international audience, and people, kept talking about it for like 2 hours after the film. So that's great. Like that's the idea of my idea for filmmaking, is to make people talk to each other and ask questions so they can answer the questions themselves.
Well, those are the best movies for sure. The ones that keep you talking, ones that kind of stew in your brain, the one that you have to talk to somebody about. It's awesome. Jan Komasa, director of the new thriller Anniversary. Jan, I cannot thank you enough for the time, man. It's a absolute pleasure to talk to you today, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you for listening to the Untitled Film Project Podcast. To support the show, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe. Original music by Jeremy Schwartz. Special thanks to the Music City Film Critics Association. Editing and post-production by Jeremy K. Gover. Voiceover by Chad Bennett.